Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Illinois Stock Motorsports Media. Today, we have a special guest that's going to be joining us. Ron Tornow is with us tonight. We're going to dive into Pro Stock Motorcycle and discuss a little bit about that, how a season's going so far, expectations on the year, and also go back a little bit. And we're going to talk about his days racing AMA Pro Stars, and also he participated in something that George and Jackie Bryce done years back, and that was the Riders Challenge that they put on at Gainesville Raceway. But before we dive into that, we have to thank our sponsors and our media partners that make everything happen. First of all, we want to thank Team GRE, Goolsby Racing Enterprises out of Gainesville, Florida. Hey, they can do everything from wrapping boats to cars, lettering storefronts, and doing signs. So if that's something that you need done, give them a call at 352-870-7258. Also, don't forget on the spot lawn maintenance. That's right. It's starting to rain. The grass is starting to grow down here in Florida. So, hey, you need them to come out and give you an estimate, they can do it. Or you can just call them to come out and mow your lawn, and give them a call at 904-966-1633.
Hey Tornado fans, this is Kurt Miracle of Miracle Automotive and Towing, proud sponsors of Tornado Football. I want to welcome you to beautiful Stark, Florida at David Hurst Stadium, and thank you for letting us be a part of this community. We're here for more than your automotive and towing needs. We're here to be part of Tornado Country. Go Big Red!
60 years of innovation, 60 years of attention to detail, 60 years of rigorous testing under race conditions is what makes ATI Performance Products great. ATI has been helping racers like you reach the finish line first. Today, we manufacture a wide range of high-performance parts that are track-tested and race-proven. We're passionate about performance, and that passion is what drives you to the finish line first. See everything ATI has to offer at ATIRacing.com.
How's it going, Ron? I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. I know y'all are getting all set up and ready for the races there at Juliet. You know, the last race that was ran there was 2019.
Right.
Won by a gentleman that you know very well, Matt Smith. So I know he's very happy to be there.
Yeah. I'll have to go see if he can lend me a tune-up for this track.
I tell you what, it is glad to see one of our tracks come back and get back on the schedule after we had so many, that have left our sport that have been sold off. And, another sad one that's coming up pretty soon is going to be Brainerd. But the family is looking and searching for another piece of land to build another track. So that's a big plus. One of the things that we like to do on here, we always like our guests to introduce themselves a little bit before we get started with the questions.
Okay. Well, I think for people that don't know me, I'm Ron Tornow. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, currently racing Pro Stock Motorcycle in the NHRA, but started many years ago drag racing, and actually started in cars. When I got out of college, I had bought a Mustang, and always being interested in things that went fast, decided to take it to the local track, went up to Keystone Raceway Park, which is still there in Pittsburgh, and I still race there, and took the car there, and that's what got me hooked on the drag racing. I'd only gone a couple of times before that to watch, but once I did it, as everybody that's tried it knows, once you do it, you get hooked on it. And so I started taking the car out all the time. And eventually sold the car and didn't have anything to race for a while. And being budget minded, I thought, well, maybe I'll get a motorcycle, because I had a motorcycle in high school, and just a little 550 Honda that I had for a while. But so I got a Yamaha 750, and I decided, well, I'm going to see how fast that'll go. So I took it out to Keystone, and once again, that sets the hook in you. And I started going out there every week with it, and it just progresses. It just like everything. So another guy that raced out there said he had a faster bike. He said, you got to try this. So I got on his bike. Well, then once you do that, then you don't want to go back to what you had. So then I had to get a faster bike, and then it just goes from there. Then I thought, wow, that would be really cool to get a motorcycle with a car tire on the back. Looks like Pro Stock Motorcycle, which is really cool. So someone had one for sale, and I bought that. And then I made it. It had a body style, looked like the Pro Stock motorcycles of the time. And I kept the hand clutch and everything the same. So it was my way of sort of living the Pro Stock motorcycle way, but doing it locally, because I figured I'd never be able to do it at this level. I mean, it was a crazy thing. But so that's what I raced. And that's the bike that I had. I found that just like the pros, I like the Pro Tree. I don't like the Sportsman Tree. I'm just not good at the Sportsman Tree. The Pro Tree, for some reason, seems to work well for me. So that's the AMA Pro Star came into it. They had different classes there, right? So they had a super comp classes where I started running the 890 class. And myself and another local friend, we did the Pro Star Tour. We did the whole tour one year, went to all the events. That was a great time. And then I moved up from super comp to the top gas class, the 820 class. Same bike, I just added nitrous to it and did that. And I think I finished second the year that I ran super comp when we did the whole tour. So I really enjoyed doing that. But other than that, it was local racing, at our local track, Keystone Raceway. And, always wanting to do something at this level. And you mentioned the Star Racing Riders Challenge.
Right.
And I had known George because I had gone to the Frank Hawley drag racing school where George taught, because I thought that's the closest I'll ever get to racing a Pro Stock motorcycle. And it was a great way to do it. I got my license when I went to the class, and I got to hang out with George and Ken Johnson and Jackie Brace. And it was really cool. It was like, being in an event. And we were at Gainesville Raceway where we had the class where they ran a national event. So that was my living the dream then, is I thought, this is really cool, and this is as close as I'm going to get. But it was really, really a good time. And,
one of the things I wanted to talk to you a little bit, about that challenge. George, he is pretty thorough with his classes. And one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was, how was the in-class stuff compared to being out on the track?
At the school, there was a lot of classroom work. When we did the challenge, there wasn't any classroom teaching. There we had different aspects. We had a marketing aspect. We had the riding aspect. So we had to do sort of a presentation and show our presentation skills. And then we had to go out on the track and we did it. But George didn't do any teaching like he did at the school. So
right.
when you got to the challenge, it was whatever you knew and whatever you had, and that's what you put out. But the school was great, though, because George did some of the teaching and Frank Hawley did some of the teachings. Frank's more into the mental aspect of it, and George did all of the riding aspect of it. And that was absolutely the best way to learn. I mean, you're learning from someone with so many years of experience and championships. And so that's how I got my teaching on how to do this.
Yeah, and Frank, Frank Hawley, he is so good about teaching people how looking at the tree and how your eye sees it and how your brain reacts and all the little things that most people don't think about.
No,
And
no.
Summer Richardson, I had her on a couple of weeks back, and we actually talked about Mr. Holly then as well, because she went through with school, working her way up to go to top alcohol dragster. And those things are very important. Those little tiny milliseconds in between, those little increments are a big thing. And I tell you, I was doing really bad a while back when I was racing, and I was going to take him up and go to one of his reaction time clinics,
Yeah.
because he puts those on as well to help people adjust and get their mental state straight.
Hmm.
And drag racing is very mental.
Oh yeah, that's a very important part of it. And if you don't have your head in there, you're not going to do well. You're not going to be consistent, and that's what it takes. You have to be focused, and like you said, understanding the physical parts of it, of how your eyes work and how your mind works, and how the signals travel from your eyes to your hands, and the movements that are quicker than others. It's all those things make a difference.
Right. Well, I had someone who had asked me the other day. They wanted to know, how in the world did you get your nickname, the Rat?
Yeah, it's actually my initials. So that's how it started. Is I got blessed with the initials RAT, so I thought I'm going to roll with it. So when I started racing, I thought I'm going to call it Rat Racing.
Now, you were talking about AMA Pro Stars, and I knew a gentleman who raced. He has now passed, and I was wondering if y'all had ever crossed paths with each other. His name was Kenny Popple.
Yeah, I remember the
From,
name. Yeah, he was
from,
out at the
from
same
Jessup,
time I was.
Georgia.
Yeah.
And he actually won a championship one year, finished up the season out at Gainesville, and I forget what class he actually ran in, but he ended up having enough of points that he won the championship in that particular class. And just wanted to see if you remembered him.
Yeah, I remember the name. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we lost him quite a few years back. He was on his motorcycle on his way home, and a car pulled out in front of him.
Oh.
And it was a huge loss for the sport, for the AMA Pro Stars and everything. It was a really sad moment. But I kind of figured y'all probably had crossed paths once or twice.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to ask you a question. So how did they pick y'all to do that Star Racing Riders Challenge?
They had put out a notice, and it had gone out, I don't know, all the different media outlets, and that's where I saw it. And it was, I don't remember how much it was, but you had to pay an entry fee, and it was the first maybe 24 people. I can't remember how many we ended up with in the challenge. There might have been 16 total. Maybe that was. But as soon as I saw it come out, I said, I'm in on that. And I think I was the second person to get my money in. I called Jackie up right away and said, sign me up, because this is a chance of a lifetime. I thought taken the school was, I thought, the closest I was ever going to get to doing this. And then here came another opportunity to actually be able to race at an NHRA event if you won the challenge.
Right. Now, I know that you came up a little short and you wasn't able to get a ride to race in that national event. When that happened, did that just put a fire up underneath you and got you more motivated to working toward the Pro Stock Motorcycle class?
Well, at first it was crushing. I mean, it was a crushing blow not to be able to do it, because I thought that was my only chance to ever do this. And it really hurt. But then I went back and thought about it some more, and eventually saved up some money, and I thought, well, there are some teams out there that have rental programs. Like Matt Smith was doing it. The Stouffer Underdall team was doing it. There were a couple others at the time. So when I was at the event, it might have been Norwalk, because that's one of the close ones to Pittsburgh. I thought, well, I'm going to go around and talk to some of these people and see what it would take. And that's how I met Matt Smith. I mean, he didn't know me from Adam. And I met him at the event and asked him about his rental program. And he said, and I told him, I mean, he knew I had my license that I'd gotten from going to Georgia school, but that's all he knew. And he said, well, we'll have to set up a test session. He said, I'm not going to let you enter an event until I know that you can, handle the bike safely. And then I'm comfortable with you doing that. He said, so if you're interested, we'll find a date that we can meet at a track where there's a test session going on. And he said, we'll let you go down and we'll see how you do. And if you do okay, then you can enter an event. So that's what we did. They were coming back from the West Coast, I think, and they were going through Indy. And I met them out there. And I think we made 6 laps that day. And it was such a huge change from it. I mean, the fastest I'd gone, I think I had taken my bike. I'd run a 790 on my bike one time, but normally it was running 820s.
Right.
The last pass that I made at our test session, I went into the 6s, which is it's a huge jump, but all the passes went well, and we got done. And he said, "Okay, I'm fine." He said, "Pick an event you want to enter, and we'll bring the bike out. We'll have everything ready. You just show up and you can ride."
And I'll tell you what, I think it's great that, there's teams out there with those type of programs to give people a chance of experience running and racing in a national event. And, if you do very well, you never know what can happen. Marketing partners might be able to, see you and say, hey, I like his attitude. I like how he handles pressure. I've talked to him. He's very professional. I'm going to take a chance on this guy or this lady and give them some money, and we'll see how it goes, how it helps them, how it helps me at the same time as a marketing partner.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was what we did. So the first year, then I did 3 events with Matt, and that's what I figured that was going to be the end of that. I mean, because that was all the money I had to do it. But my brother, who saw how much I enjoyed doing that, because this is my passion, right? And he just saw how much I loved doing that he sponsored me then the next year, and for 6 events that was 2018, I guess. So I, again, with Matt and Angie, I raced one of their bikes for 6 events in 2018, thanks to my brother who helped me do that. And then at the same time, my mom came out, so it turned into a family event, and we'd go out, as a family, and it was great. We had a really good time, and we enjoyed doing that. So then my brother and I started talking, and he said, if you really want to continue doing this, maybe we should look into starting our own team, buying our own bike, and getting a program going, because that way we could have control over it, and we could do it as a family. And so that's what we did. I started looking around for bikes, and we talked to Matt, and he said, well, I think we could work out a deal. And we talked to him, and he had a chassis and a motor, and so he'd never done that before.
Right.
He's never sold a motor to anyone, but we became close doing this, and he has a lot of trust in us, and so he sold us one of his bikes. That was the one with the Victory body and with the Gen 1 motor, and so that's how we started. So we started our team, and then then we did that in but then that's when COVID started. Of course,
and
it was really bad timing. So we bought all this stuff. We went out, and my brother got a motor home. We got a trailer. We got the bike. We started setting everything up, ready to go racing. And then COVID hit, and there was nowhere to go. And then that's when we had multiple events at Indy that year. So that's how we got our start with that. But we went to those, and like I said, our mom goes with us, and so it's just like a mini vacation for us. Every time we go, we all get together and we spend time together, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, drag racing can be a great family event. I mean, we see it every weekend at the bracket races. Families come out, they bring their motor homes, and they got their grills, and they just have a good old time.
Yeah, that's what's so great about drag racing. Everybody's so friendly. We've made so many more friends coming out here every weekend, and it's just great. Even the fans that come out, everybody's just so nice out here. It's really wonderful.
Well, it's like a family away from home. I mention it all the time.
Yeah.
If you have a problem or an issue, someone's always willing to help you out. You're friendly with each other until you go up to that tree, and that's when all the friendship ends.
That's
until
right.
after you get past the 320-foot mark, and then it's all back to friendship and family again.
Yeah.
I know you've been racing ever since 2017. Running limited schedules. Who is the person that you like facing the most in the other lane?
They all have different reasons, different people, but the one, of course, that stands out and everybody remembers is when I raced Angel at Indy a couple of years ago, and that was a big one for me. That was obviously my biggest round win. I mean, I've only had two to date. The first one was against Steve Johnson and Bristol earlier, but then at the big event, the big go, she qualified number 1. We qualified number 16, so we were the underdog, and things went our way, and it was just a huge victory for us. For us, it felt like we won the event, and that's what we take away from it is we celebrate the small things, because the people that come out and they go rounds like nothing, and they're winning the events, and eventually it would be great to get to that point, but you don't want to miss the times that you're getting there. And for us, even winning a round is a huge thing for us right now. First, it was qualifying, and now we've done better at qualifying. And last year we qualified at every event that we went to, and so far this year we've done that. And now we're concentrating on trying to win rounds, and it's just a big deal for us, and we still get super excited about it, and because it's new to us.
Yeah, I'll tell you, she's a tough competitor.
Well, yeah, she's a 3-time champ, and anytime you can take out anybody like that. I mean, everybody out here is so tough. I mean, you look, people just crush the tree constantly. I mean, you can't let up on anybody around here. Everybody is so tough. I mean, but that's why it's the pros, right? It's not going to be easy.
Well, one of the things that we've never really heard on our podcast is that, can you kind of walk us through what it's like from hitting the water box to staging the bike? And we all know that it's very important how the bike is staged and how it is pointed down the track. And so I wanted you to kind of give us an overall point of view of what it's like being on the bike and getting ready to stage up there at the tree.
From the time that we started, yeah. So we wait our turn, and you're sitting back there waiting. And as we roll up, and the pair in front of us go, we pull forward ahead of the water. We do our burnouts in third gear. So I put the bike into third gear and then back into the water, and then one of the crew people will come over with our starter cart, and because we have the V-twin, we have the large starter cart with it's got a big Caterpillar starter in there. Anyway, but so they start the bike, and we do the burnout, probably around 8,000 RPM, do a nice burnout, and then we pull forward. Got to make sure you don't let the tire catch. because if you do, you're liable to hurt the clutch or break a shift fork. And then we pull up, and as you said, it's very important. We have to be pointed straight because you're going wherever you're pointed. And we have someone that will stand behind us. Someone from the team will stand behind us, and I roll up, and I try to get as straight as I can, but they have a better vantage point. So we have someone standing pretty far back that'll sight down the wheelie bar, down my back, across my helmet, across the front of the bike, and to a point at the end of the track. And we make, it looks like minute adjustments, and it actually is. I mean, I'm making very small adjustments, but it actually makes a big difference. And it's very important that we get lined up perfectly straight. And we also have to make sure that we're in a good spot of rubber on the track, because there's so much power when we let the clutch go that if you're not on a good sticky spot, the tire is going to go up in smoke, and your run's not going to be any good. So once we get pulled forward, my brother will stand in front of me, and he's showing me the spot where I'm supposed to roll up to, and that'll get me close to the beams. And then once I'm straight and he gives me the okay, then it's time for me to pre-stage. And so I'll put the visor down, and then I roll forward and wait for the other person to pre-stage. And then when we do it, to get to fast reaction, I'm not sure how other people do it, but I've only got 2 fingers on the clutch, which can be a little scary at times. You got this thing rumbling underneath you, and you're going to go full throttle on it, and you're holding it back with 2 fingers on the clutch, hoping that your fingers don't slip, right? And then once we go in, as soon as we go into stage, and the other person goes into stage, and we got to go full throttle, and then the tree will come down, and that's all you're concentrating on, is looking at that tree, waiting for any sign of yellow, and then we go. And as soon as you leave, you got to be going straight, because if you're spending time correcting, now you're going to be late on your shift, because our first shift comes up so quick. We're shifting 5 times in the first 4 seconds. By the time we get to half track, we're already in 6th gear. So there's a lot happening in that very first part of the run. And if you're busy correcting and trying to see where you're at, you're missing shifts. And if you hit the rev limiter, now you got to change valve springs. It gets into a whole big mess. So you don't want to be doing that.
Right.
And so you're trying to get it to go as straight as you can and hit your shift points on time. And we also have to get tucked in. So after we get into, some people do 2nd gear, some people 3rd gear, you'll see that we move back on the seat. It's a 2-step. So we'll move back so that we can get lower and get under the fairing and get in as tight as we can, because aerodynamics is a huge part. Once you start getting up to these, close to 200 mile an hour, even having a toe or a knee sticking out is going to knock off a couple mile an hour. So it's very important. And that's why, and if you listen to George or Jackie Bryce, they'll tell you it's all about precision. It's like a ballet type of thing. It's all about being a part of the bike once you get up there, and it has to be smooth. Smooth is fast, but that takes lots and lots of practice. I still have a long ways to go, and that's something that I'm constantly working on. But it's not easy. It's very hard to do. And the people that have done this forever, they make it look easy, but and they're going out there knocking off these runs like it's nothing. But believe me, it's really hard.
And one of the other things that affects you a lot is crosswind. Trying to racing in a crosswind, because of course you're using your body to maneuver that bike, but I think some people don't understand the bike's so low to the ground that you can only maneuver so far over, and then you're going to have a chance of rubbing the oil pan on the track surface.
Yeah, we only have 2 inches of clearance under there, so you can only lean so far. And if you go too far, the belly pan's going to hit. That'll lift the front tire. It's going to wash out, and you're going on your side. So and that's what's bad. You get past the grandstands at a track, and if there's a heavy crosswind, it hits you hard. And if you're not ready for it, we try to, if we know that the wind is coming, we'll actually point ourselves, into the wind, so that when we hit the wind, it's going to sort of push us back, because it happens pretty fast.
Yeah, y'all were like ballet out there, working on that, riding the bike down the track. Um, I wanted you to have the opportunity to give a shout out to some of your crew members that helps you out.
Yeah, well, we have a great team. Like I said, my brother, he and I own the team, and my mom, who always comes out. We have a new crew member this year, Landon Martinkovich. He's come on board to help us out. He's been doing great. And then we have Carol, who's she comes out with us as well. And so it's just a small team, and we have friends that'll come out and help us from time to time as well. But it's just us. It's family, and but we do have people that help us out externally. The people back in Pittsburgh, we have people that are helping us there. Pro Graphics Inc. They've been helping us out. They did the wrap on the bike. They're helping us out with the hero cards. They're a Pittsburgh company. They are, in fact, Greg Miller, who owns the company, he also runs Keystone Raceway, which is where I've raced for the last 25 or 30 years. So we've got the Pittsburgh connection there. We also have Direct Performance. Dan Rector, he was a crew member with us for a couple years. He took a couple summers off and came down and spent it with us, helped us get going. And he's from Prince Edward Island in Canada. And so he continues to help us out. And Bartering Bob's always there to help. He's coming to the event this weekend, another Pittsburgh company. So it's the local people that are happening, and just tons of support from our local track and from all the people in the area, and the people that we've met actually at all the events. It's amazing, especially now with social media. After an event, I get home, and a lot of the people that I've met at the events, I get all the friend requests, and they start following us, and I really enjoy that aspect of it, because that was me for all these years. I was the one coming to the events. I was the one on the other side of the ropes. I was the one that had the questions. I wanted to see what it looked like, or talk to the driver, or get an autograph. So I never forget that, and that's something I really like to do. So people come up. I mean, I have pistons and I have valve springs and things that I'll show people and try and explain to them what it's like, and answer any questions they have. And that's really cool. I really enjoy that part of it.
Yeah, one of the things I always enjoyed about NHRA drag racing and going to the Gator Nationals is that ability to walk up to the drivers and talk to them and talk to crew members. We all don't want rain, at the track, but when it does rain, it does give fans a lot of opportunities to get more one-on-one with the drivers and the crews, to discuss about all the different things that goes on behind the scenes, because they are just as important as what goes on the track. And NHRA, with every Tickets a Pit Pass, gave that opportunity to every fan.
Yeah, it really is a unique part of our sport, and a lot of people don't understand that, and that's why we try to get the word out. You can't go to any place, even whether it's golf. You aren't going to go up and you're not going to meet Tiger Woods. You're not going to go to NASCAR. You're not going to meet the drivers there, or even you go to the ball yard or a football game. You don't get to talk to these people. You don't get to shake their hands. You aren't going to get an autograph. Whereas here, you can talk to everybody. And like you said, on the days where it's raining, or if you come earlier on some of the days, it's great. I mean, you get total access.
Definitely. Tell us a little bit about the motorcycle that you ride. We know that it's a EBR body.
It is this year.
And 160 cubic inch.
Yes. Yeah. So you have two choices pretty much. You could either run the 4-cylinder Suzuki or the 2-cylinder SNS motor, which is a Bure and EBR. We started off with the Victory bodywork, but to try and keep up with everybody, it's not as aerodynamic. So like everyone else, we finally made the switch this year to the EBR bodywork. And we also upgraded. There's two motors. If you're doing the V-twin like we do, It's a 160 cubic inch, and there's a Gen 1 motor, which was the first one, and then the Gen 2, which was based off the Victory platform. There's some advantages to the Gen 2. You can turn a little more RPM with those, so that's why you see the higher mile an hours usually with those. So this year we upgraded the motor. We bought a Gen 2 motor from Matt Smith, and we actually bought the EBR body from him as well. And over the winter, they mounted the body for us, and they built the motor for us. And that's what we have for this year. So we've set at Charlotte in E1, we set our best back half number in mile per hour. So we set our mile per hour record at Charlotte with the new bodywork and the new motor. So, and the run looked good. I mean, I was a little early on the first couple of shifts, so that affected the ET. So really optimistic for this weekend. And I think if I can nail down the tune-up a little better, hit the shifts a little better, get tucked in a little better, I think we're going to see some career bests for us.
Well, I definitely hope so. You know, it's like a dream has came true for you.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and you don't want to get off that dream. You don't want to wake up. I want to ask you, what are some of the expectations that you would like to accomplish this year in 2023?
Well, last year was the win around, which we did do that. This year, we also want to do that. I'd really like to hit 200 mile an hour. I think that would be really cool. And I'd really like to finish in the top 10, but don't know how feasible that one's going to be. We just don't have the budget to go out west. So out of the 15 events, we're going to do the 9 that are on the East Coast. So I don't know that unless we did really well with some of these 9, I don't know that that's a possibility. But so we're really shooting for the 200 mile an hour and to win a few more rounds this year.
Well, I'm hoping someone's watching tonight or watch this later on that's got a company out west, and they want to have the opportunity to have your bike as their billboard per se, and maybe they'll come up with some money to help fund you going out there.
Yeah, that would do it. With the price of diesel and everything, it's just crazy expensive just to get there, let alone all the maintenance expenses with running one of these things.
Now, I do have one other question, and I'm not really for sure about it, but I thought I'd ask you anyway. You know, when you go to different tracks, you got different elevations, and you know they affect the motor. And I know, like, if you go somewhere where there's high altitude, like you got Top Fuel cars and stuff, they change the head gaskets on them to try to make up the difference. What kind of things do y'all do on the motorcycles to try to make up that power loss?
Well, there's a number of things. Now, that's why I haven't gone to Bandamere. There's so many things you change just for one race. But you change your transmission ratios. You change the rear sprocket. Some people change their compression ratios, the pistons, to do some things in there. But a lot of it's gear ratios and the sprockets in the back. And everything just happens a lot slower at altitude. But it's a lot of work and a lot of expense just for one event. I mean, if there were multiple events, I could see it, but that would be something to do. But we haven't done it for that reason.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, it's been great having you on tonight, Ron, and I really do appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. I know today was setup day there at Juliet, and I'm just excited as everybody else that, hey, racing is back there. Another venue is came back for the fans. I know all the people who live around there that, love to go to a national event. They're finally getting their wish come true this weekend.
Yeah, it's a beautiful facility. It's huge. I mean, I was here once actually with ProStar when the facility first opened, and I haven't been back since. But it's really nice here, and I hope it continues.
Well, I tell you what, we're looking forward to you doing really well out there this weekend. And I'll tell you what, I would enjoy having you come back on
Sure.
in the
Yeah.
near future. And
Anytime.
had a wonderful time tonight talking to you. And again, I wish you all the best of luck.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on. This has been a pleasure. Enjoyed it.
Well, I'm just glad I was your first podcast.
Yeah. Hopefully one of many, right?
That's right. Hopefully your phone will start ringing and you get some more opportunities.
Yeah, that would be great.
Well, I appreciate it, Ron. Take care and have a great evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
There goes Ron. I want to thank everyone who hopped on tonight, watched the interview. We wish Ron all the best of luck, like I said, and success to continue racing in the pro stock motorcycle category. You know, it's very hard. It's very challenging. And, you know, and money's always a factor. So if someone's out west watching this and they want to have the opportunity to sponsor a motorcycle, and I will tell them it's cheaper to sponsor a pro stock motorcycle than it is a top fuel car or funny car. You can find Ron on Facebook. Hit him up, and I guarantee you'll get a message back really quick. We have some other upcoming events that we're going to be live streaming off of here. Of course, we do all of our Summit Racing ET bracket races at Gainesville Raceway. We will have the No One Fights Alone race coming up later on in the year, and also the 352 shootout. And we're trying to nail down the opportunity to live stream the races from the Divisional II finals. That will take place at South Carolina Dragway and the first weekend of October. Always keep up with our page and the news that is coming across. Again, we thank you, and we'll see you next time.